They who have never seen the daylight peer into a darkened room and drawn the curtain, and with dull eyes and wearied from some dear and worshipped body risen, they for certain will never know of what I try to sing, how long the last kiss was, how fond and late his lingering. The moon was girdled with a crystal rim, the sign which shipmen say is ominous of wrath in heaven. The wan stars were dim, and the low lightning east was tremulous with the faint fluttering wings of flying dawn, ere from the silent sombre shrine his lover had withdrawn. Down the steep rock with hurried feet and fast clomb the brave lad, and reached the cave of Pan, and heard the goat-foot snoring as he passed, and leapt upon a grassy knoll, and ran like a young fawn unto an olive wood which in a shady valley by the well-built city stood, and sought a little stream, which well he knew, for oftentimes with boyish careless shout the green and crested grebe he would pursue, or snare in woven net the silver trout, and down amid the startled reeds he lay, panting in breathless sweet affright, and waited for the day. On the green bank he lay, and let one hand dip in the cool dark eddies listlessly, and soon the breath of morning came, and fanned his hot flushed cheeks, or lifted wantonly the tangled curls from off his forehead, while he on the running water gazed with strange and secret smile. And soon the shepherd in rough woollen cloak with his long crook undid the wattled coats, and from the stack a thin blue wreath of smoke curled through the air across the ripening oats. And on the hill the yellow house-dog bayed, as through the crisp and rustling fern the heavy cattle strayed. And when the light-foot mower went afield across the meadows laced with threaded dew, and the sheep bleated on the misty weald, and from its nest the waking corncrake flew, some woodman saw him lying by the stream, and marveled much that any lad so beautiful could seem, nor deemed him born of mortals. And one said, "It is young Hylas, that false runaway, who with a naiad now would make his bed, forgetting Heracles." But others, "Nay, it is Narcissus, his own paramour. Those are fond and crimson lips no woman can allure." And when they nearer came, a third one cried, "It is young Dionysus, who has hid his spear and fawn skin by the river side, and wise indeed were we away to fly. They lived not long who on the gods immortal come to spy." So turned they back, and feared to look behind, and told the timid swain how they had seen amid the reeds some woodland god reclined, and no man dared to cross the open green. And on that day no olive tree was slain, nor rushes cut, but all deserted was the fair domain, save when the neat-herd's lad, his empty pail well slung upon his back, with leap and bound raced on the other side, and stopped to hail, hoping that he some comrade new had found, and got no answer, and then half afraid passed on his simple way. Or down the still and silent glade a little girl ran laughing from the farm, not thinking of love's secret mysteries. And when she saw the white and gleaming arm and all his manlyhood, with longing eyes whose passion mocked her sweet virginity, watched him awhile, and then stole back sadly and wearily. Far off he heard the city's hum and noise, and now and then the shriller laughter, where the passionate purity of brown-limbed boys wrestled or raced in the clear, healthful air, and now and then a little tinkling bell, as the shorn wether led the sheep down the mossy well. Through the gray willows danced the fretful gnat. The grasshopper chirped idly from the tree. In sleek and oily coat the water rat breasting the little ripples manfully, made for the wild duck's nest. From bough to bough hopped the shy finch, and the huge tortoise crept across the slough. On the faint wind floated the silky seeds as the bright scythe swept through the waving grass. The ousel cock splashed circles in the reeds and flecked with silver whorls the forest's glass, which scarce had caught again its imagery, ere from its bed the dusky tench leapt at the dragonfly. But little care had he for anything, though up and down the beech squirrel played, and from the copse the linnet 'gan to sing to her brown mate her sweetest serenade. Ah, little care indeed, for he had seen the breasts of Pallas and the naked wonder of the queen. But when the herdsman called his straggling goats with whistling pipe across the rocky road, and the shard beetle with its trumpet notes boomed through the darkening woods, and seemed to bode of coming storm, and the belated crane passed homeward like a shadow, and the dull big drops of rain fell on the pattering fig leaves, up he rose, and from the gloomy forest went his way, past sombre homestead and wet orchard close, and came at last to a little quay, and called his mates aboard, and took a seat on the high poop, and pushed from land, and loosed the dripping sheet, and steered across the bay. And when 9 suns passed down the long and laddered way of gold, and 9 pale moons had breathed their orisons to the chaste stars, their confessors, or told their dearest secret to the downy mouth that will not fly at noonday, through the foam and surging froth came a great owl with yellow sulphurous eyes, and lit upon the ship whose timbers creaked, as though the lading of 3 argosies were in the hold, and flapped its wings and shrieked, and darkness straightway stole across the deep. Sheathed was Orion's sword, dread Mars himself fled down the steep, and the moon hid behind a tawny mask of drifting cloud, and from the ocean's marge rose the red plume, the huge and horned casque, the 7-cubit spear, the brazen targe, and clad in bright and burnished panoply, Athena strode across the stretch, a sick and shivering sea. To the dull sailor's sight, her loosened locks seemed like the jagged storm rack, and her feet only the spume that floats on hidden rocks, and marking how the rising waters beat against the rolling ship, the pilot cried to the young helmsman at the stern to luff to windward side. But he, the overbold adulterer, a dear profaner of great mysteries, an ardent amorous idolater, when he beheld those grand relentless eyes, laughed loud for joy, and crying out, "I come," leapt from the lofty poop into the chill and churning foam. Then fell from the high heaven one bright star. One dancer left the circling galaxy, and back to Athens on her clattering car, in all the pride of avenged divinity. Pale Pallas swept with shrill and steely clank, and a few gurgling bubbles rose where her boy lover sank. And the mast shuddered as the gaunt owl flew with mocking hoots after the wrathful queen. And the old pilot bade the trembling crew hoist the big sail, and told how he had seen close to the stern a dim and giant form, and like a dipping sallow the stout ship dashed through the storm. And no man dared to speak of Charmides, deeming that he some evil thing hath wrought. And when they reached the strait Symplegades, they pitched their galley on the shore, and sought the toll gate of the city hastily, and in the market showed their brown and pictured pottery.